you all for joining us today. We're so glad to have you here. We've got some joining us on Zoom and some on Facebook Live. So thank you all for joining us. We're so happy to have you here today. Before we get started, a couple of housekeeping things that I want to make you aware of. If you have joined us on Zoom today, we're going to take some time at the end to ask some questions. So if you're on Zoom, if you will notice at the bottom of your screen, there is a Q&A box. If you click on that little icon, it's going to pull up the Q&A box. If you'll put your questions in there, the chat box gets a lot of comments and we can get questions lost in that chat box. So if you're on Zoom, go ahead and put questions that you have in that Q&A box. If you're joining us on Facebook, you can go ahead and put your questions in the comments. We're going to have time for questions at the end, so put them there. If you're having any problems with the tech piece, you can go ahead and put that in the chat box for us, and we'll address those as well. Chelsea's going to help monitor our chat box, and I'm going to be monitoring the question and answer box for you. So thank you again for being here. My name is Stephanie McLaughlin, and I am the Training and Evaluation Specialist with the Partners Resource Network. Partners Resource Network is the nonprofit agency that operates the Texas statewide network of parent training and information centers. We are funded through the U.S. Department of Education, Office of Special Education. Our PTI projects here in Texas are PATH, PIN, and TEEN. And we strive to empower and support Texas families and individuals that are impacted by disabilities or special healthcare needs. So joining us today is our Director of Statewide Services, Christina Henning.
Hello, everyone.
Kelsey Rivas, she is our support specialist for our statewide team. So thank you so much again for joining us. And I want to get you to our speakers today. So let me introduce our speakers. We have Lien Vo, and she has been practicing school-based occupational therapy for more than 15 years. She graduated from Texas Women's University Occupational Therapy Program. She enjoys learning every day from her students with special needs and their teachers. She attends numerous educational trainings every year. And when she's not working, she spends her free time baking for her family and friends. Thank you for joining us, Lien. And also joining us today, we have Lois Goodin, the therapy team leader at Region 10 Education Service Center in Richardson, Texas. Lois has 30 years experience as a physical therapist, 20 years working in public schools. She plans and facilitates professional development for the OTs and PTs in and throughout Region 10. She received her DBT degree from AT Still University in 2010. Prior to that, she graduated from the Mayo School of Health-Related Services in 1989 in Rochester, Minnesota, with a certificate in physical therapy. She is a board-certified physical therapy clinical specialist in pediatrics since May of 2011. Thank you so much again, Lien and Lois, for joining us, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Lois, do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Go ahead, Lien.
Okay. So,
hi, everybody.
Hello. What we are going to kind of go over is things that parents can do at home, and it doesn't have to be ritual. It doesn't have to be basically just things that they can do at home. They can involve children as well. We don't want this to be additional thing that the parents have to do at home. So our slides are based on just practical things, home activities. So the first thing I'm going to go over are fine motor skills, self-care skills, sensory activities, and then Lois will go over with gross motor skills. So some of the fine motor skills that parents you can do with your children at home are coloring together, reading a book together. My daughter does a lot of words, writing and letters and names and rainbow colors, and she seems to enjoy it. So things that you can make activities that are fun for the kids, they tend to enjoy it more than when you're telling them, oh, you have to work. So if you can maybe help get them in the mindset that it's play, I think it's more a positive thing for the kids to do. Also, either writing, drawing on, giving letters to family. I know right now you have to remain social distancing 6 feet away from each other. So it's very difficult to even visit neighbors, friends down the street, or even your own family. So writing letters and then dropping it off in the mailbox is a fun activity that kids can do. Another thing with just building muscles, upper body strength, is to do a lot of outdoor play, helping stack cans in the pantry, filling things in a blanket with toys, something heavy, and then have kids push it around the house. And then just overall household chores that kids can help, either squeezing sponges and wiping down tables, using washcloth to clean areas in their room, to wipe down doorknobs, clean mirrors in their restrooms, things like that that they can do and help at home. And then with self-care skills, right now it's very important. So I do recommend parents to supervise for a little bit with just general, when they're washing their hands, to make sure that they're washing between their fingers, and either singing a song together to make sure that they're doing it at least 20 seconds, so that when they do go back to school, they have that hand hygiene habit at school, so they can also protect themselves at school as well. So encouraging them to do that, and to encourage them to dress as much as possible, and then cleaning up after they play, after they eat, and then putting their clothes in the laundry. So a lot of things that we've done for them when they're in school, now we have extra time to encourage them to do more of those things with our children, and also to hopefully make it into a routine so that they can keep it up even after when they go back to school. And then this is, if you click on the PowerPoint, it's a really fun song with Baby Shark. It's one of the most popular songs, but they just came out recently with a washing your hand song. So that was, that's very fun for even little toddlers as well. And then with sensory activities, there's a lot of things that you can find around the house that you can use with your kids. Just bubble play. You can fill up a sink in the kitchen with kitchen soap, and then fill it up with water and have them play or pretend washing plastic bowls or plastic dishes. That would help as well. And then playing soft or classical music, dim lighting in the play area if it's too much lighting, to have them, one of the calming activities that you can do. Making Play-Doh, making slime, stacking pillows on tummies tends to help some kids to for calming. And then if some kids, they get anxious or upset, and so they usually either start harming themselves, scratching, or doing things that, pinching others. What I recommend is maybe using wearing winter gloves, so that might help if they do tend to exhibit those behaviors. But just try. Right now with the sensory activities, there's a lot of trial and error to see what works and what doesn't work at home too. So please don't be too stressed about it. Reach out to parents. There's a lot of blogs on the website that have a lot of ideas and suggestions. These are just what we have today is very general. And so there's a lot more that I've been reading across different blogs, different websites. And at the end, we're going to share a few websites that you can get more information from. And then I had a parent that their child enjoys being rolled in a blanket and then unrolling, kind of making them a piggy in the blanket in a way. And so I have her telling me that her child enjoyed doing that a lot. And then basic games for high functioning kids are just Legos, placing a paper ball and a spoon and playing race, throwing and catching, any board games, any card games, tic-tac-toe, hangman, hide and seek, tag. Those are just games that we used to do when we didn't have a lot of busy time, and now our time has slowed down. So a lot of things that we did in the past as a kid, it's fun now for the kids because they're inside a house and they don't have a lot of things to do. So I do encourage you to be creative and do a lot more activities to engage the family. And then I think that's so important right now, what we're seeing on the news, and you know what's going on out there. It's very, very hard for children to grasp that understanding that they're not in school. My daughter, she really wants to go to school, and so it's hard for her to understand that she can't because there are a lot of people are getting sick. And so we have to explain that to her. And then her school just came up with a good idea, and she saw her friends and her teacher this morning through a kind of like a Zoom, but she was really, really happy to see them for the very first time. And it really made her day. So it's just out of their routine, and to see that somebody's on the other side, I think brings a huge, it makes her day. And I hope your kids are able to see at least somebody from school, either through Zoom or Google Meets. There's different things that they can have, or having a teacher send a video, and then sharing that video with your child would probably help, if to understand that they're not in school, and to have the teacher talk to them would help.
Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. As Lynn was saying, you know, the kids they're out of the routine. So as much as you can put a routine in place for their day, that's going to help them out, and it'll help you out too. So, but don't make it hard. You know, this is a stressful enough situation. So just do simple things, give them choices when you can, and use the fine motor activities and some gross motor movement activities to kind of break up the day. So if if school is sending a lot of assignments home, have them do, you know, work on an assignment for 20-30 minutes, and then, you know, break it up with some motor tasks. So that way they're not feeling like they're sitting and having to work for a long period of time. You know, just things like going for a walk. You know, that's something that, you know, kids are very active at school. They have recess, they have PE. They're just moving around big school buildings. They're going to the cafeteria, they're going to the library, you know, maybe moving from classroom to classroom. So they really are moving and active. And what we don't want is for them to all of a sudden be home sitting on a computer or iPad or whatever they're using for their schoolwork all day long without adding some activity to their day. So, and there's a lot of things, just get them outside, go for a walk. You know, you can do some schoolwork doing that way. You know, if you have young kids, you can talk about all the different shapes you see and all the different colors you see. If they're a little bit older, you can, you know, what they feel. You can feel the wind, you can feel the sun, you can talk about the weather. So don't go out and just walk for the sake of walking. You can use that time. And if they're not able to walk by themselves, still get them out. You know, if they have a adaptive bike, or if they use a walker or a wheelchair, even if they're not able to push themselves, just the movement of you pushing themselves and taking them for a ride is going to be real beneficial. So make sure that at some point during the day, as much as you can, if you are able to get them out, take them for a walk, things like that. And then other things you can do in the house, you can go for scavenger hunts. There's a lot of websites where you can print off free different scavenger hunts, but have their favorite things and hide them at different places in the house, or come up with a list of things they have to go find and bring to you. Anytime they're moving around the house like that, that's going to give them a little break and get them moving. And if they're able to, crawl under a table or climb up on top of the couch and look, reach for something over their head, there's a lot of different activities you can build into a scavenger hunt, or build an obstacle course. I've seen a few videos out there where they make an obstacle course all through their house, where they're walking across pillows or couch cushions. Anything like that, it's going to challenge their balance a little bit. They can put tape markers down on the floor and they can jump from one line to another. Put a piece of tape down and they can pretend it's a balance beam and have to walk on the tape. So there's a lot of different things you can do with just simple tape on the floor and just household items. If they're able to jump, you can have them jump over small objects. If you don't have a trampoline or anything like that available. And there's a lot of movement videos out there. And like Lynn said, we're going to show you a slide that will have, or if it's out there, have a dance party if they don't like walking, or if you don't like walking with them. There's all sorts of things like that can add movement to the day. Just make sure that it's not just one other thing you can do. Give them a choices of the activities they like. Or maybe if they don't like moving at all, if all they want to do is be on their computer, set up some kind of a token system where if they put so many minutes of activity in, then they're going to get a reward. And absolutely schedule it. Schedule it throughout the day, so that way it's not something that's an afterthought. That we all get busy doing things, and you might find at the end of the day you haven't done any movement around or mobility stuff. So make sure that you schedule it throughout the day, so that way it's a good way to break up their attention. And I think you'll find that if you add movement breaks, and kids, especially young kids, they can't sit for very long. So you might need a movement break every 10 minutes or 15 minutes. It's just based on your kid, but have fun with them. Don't let this stress you out. Have fun with your kid. And then see what they like to do and, kind of go for that. Just don't stress yourself out. Don't stress them out. But this is a really good time to get more activity in their day. Because kids sit, we all sit too much. So this is a good way to create some good habits for them. Okay, Lynn, go to the next slide for me. So there are a lot of, I'll let Lynn talk about these, but there are a lot of resources if you're on social media at all. There's a YouTube channels, there's Facebook posts, there's a lot of people sharing things. That's really good. So if you look at the NICPAD, those are specific for kids with disabilities. There's a lot of videos for kids with intellectual disabilities or autism. PE with Joe is just a daily PE class. And then Go Noodle and Inspired Treehouse, they also have videos that are just intended to get kids moving. Yoga is a great way to have a study break. So there's a lot of things available. We just chose a few good ones to get you started, but by all means, go look for those. And the other thing I want to say is that if your child does have a disability and they're receiving either occupational therapy or physical therapy, either in school or through home health or a clinic, by all means, get in touch with those therapists because they know your child specifically, and they can give you a lot of ideas of things that that they can work on. So if they have not contacted you yet, by all means, reach out to them because they're the best resource you have as far as coming up with some ideas and how you can adapt things to your child.
So some of the things that I've seen that works, that's fun for kids, there's a lot of smart tablet apps, but I do recommend using a short stylus if you have one. And these include Letter School, to work on letters, Skyburger, to work on visual motor skills, finger paint. And then Timo is the one that I recently downloaded and took a look at it. It's basically a schedule and routine, and you set a timer for each of the self-care skills that's on the app. And so that would help a lot for kids who need that visual schedule. Learning Without Tears used to be Handwriting Without Tears. Now they're offering a 90-day after you signed up. I've been using it a lot every day now, and it's all digital, but it's a very good learning tool for children who likes the computer, and it also teaches you how to keyboard as well. So it's not only for handwriting.
We also wanted just to remind you that SpedTex is a call center for basically any question about special education, and it's for everybody. It's for parents, teachers, therapists, pretty much anything. They are open and answering calls. They also have a website and an email address, so you can chat with them online, or they have resources just posted on their website. So, so if there's any issues that have come up regarding special education, that's a good resource for you. And then, do we have our emails on this, Lynn? We
No,
can
we
also provide an email if that way you guys want to reach out to us. I will put it in the chat box here. Do we have any questions? I'll put my email in here, and that way you can reach out to me if you have anything, and we can go from there.
Thanks, Lois. Thank you. I'm waiting for, there we go. There's Stephanie. So if you have any questions for Lois or Lynn, if you'll put them in the Q&A box. If you're joining us from Facebook, if you'll stick it in the comments, I'll bring it over from there.
We did have one person that asked if you would go back to the slide that had the scavenger hunt information.
The gross motor slide. That one, or maybe the resource page, Lynn. There you go. That one. There are other ones out there, but that one's a good one to start with. And the Measure Mom, that is just, it's a list of gross motor and fine motor activities that you can find on that website. That's really nice.
Wonderful. We have one question. So how about consent forms for services via telehealth? Do we need those consent forms?
For a physical therapist, yes, it's written in the Physical Therapist Practice Act that you have to have a consent form. I don't believe that that's true for occupational therapy, but it is true for speech therapy. So depending on what services you need to get or provide, then speech and PT, you do, at least in Texas, you do have to have informed consent for that.
Thank you. Any other questions? You can tap those.
In the chat box, we have someone asking if this video, the recording will be available online. It is. It'll be on our Facebook page, and we'll also post it on the website. And I'll, okay.
And I do really, really try to encourage parents to use this time not to focus on just fine motor or gross motor skills, but just to focus on each other and find things to do that would help with gross and fine motor skills and also learning, things like that. So it's not an extra task, but it's more of making memories.
Absolutely. The best activities you can do are very functional ones. So play and have fun with your kids.
Great advice. Great advice. I'm not seeing any more questions on Facebook, Stephanie.
No, and no questions right now on Zoom either.
So thank you, ladies, so much for sharing your time and your knowledge with us. We greatly appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Good luck to all the parents out there. We're here to help you. They're here to help you. We're all in this together. So let us know. We'll be happy to help. All right, guys. Thanks so much.
All right. Bye, everybody.